Hello, this is for the 199 class. I had a couple of requests for some assistance on the netacad lab 19.4.4, build a switch and router network. So I'm going to attempt to work that live for you here. So just let me share the screen and I'll get to work. All right, on the screen here, you actually see the verify that I still got audio. Yep, you guys are still hearing me. All right. So I've got the packet tracer downloaded and I got it open already. I have the instructions here, inside packet tracer on the other screen. So I'm going to be keeping up with this completion percentage as we go. Take it a step at a time. All right. Hold on just a second. I'm stepping up to close the door to my office. All right, we start out here. List our objectives for us. We also have an addressing table at the top here, and then our part 1 objectives, part 2, part 3 objectives. All right, in this lab, you will cable the equipment and configure the devices to match the addressing table. After the configurations have been saved, you will verify your configuration by testing connectivity. After the devices have been configured and connectivity has been verified, you will use iOS commands to retrieve information. All right, so you can also access the routers remotely from via SSH. All right, so we're going to set all this up. So no, I'll bring these instructions on the screen from time to time, but for right now, let's know that they are on the other screen. All right, so part 1, step 1. All right, connect the devices. So it wants us to connect devices sort of the way they're laid out here. So starting out with, it wants me to connect PCA to switch 1. All right, so PCA, it gives us fast 0 as the port, and on fast Ethernet 0, and then on switch 1, fast Ethernet 0, 1. All right, so I'm going to pick go to my cables here. And we got different types of cables. So this one is a copper straight through. I'm going to choose that one. I'm going to go to PCA. I'm going to click on it here, and it's going to give me the options. I'm going to pick fast Ethernet 0. I'm going to go over here to switch 1, click, and then click fast Ethernet 0. All right. Next one, it wants me to connect switch 1 on gig 01 to router 1 on gig 001. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to choose a cable, switch 1 on gig 01, which is down here, router 1 onto gig 001. All right. Very good, very good. All right, next we've got router 1 to PCB. So we're going to go straight from router 1 to PCB. Router 1, we're going to use interface gig 000. I'm going to go to the PC, and I'm going to use fast Ethernet 0. All right, so we're connected all the way through now, physically anyway. We got a link, the links turn green from PCA to switch 1. We still don't have links on these others, but the other work we'll do here will figure that out for us. We'll get that done before we get this completed. All right, so we've got step 2. We've got, let me bring that over so you can see it. We're going to assign the IP information to the PC interfaces. So let's do that. All right, so inside the table, so we want to do, I'm going to bring up the address table, and it's got the PC information here. I'm going to bring that to the other screen, then I'm going to click on PCA, and I'm going to go to desktop IP configuration. All right, so this is PCA, and I got the information in the table right in front of me. 168.1.3 subnet mask /24. Yes, default gateway 192.168.1.1. And that's all we got. All right, so 1.3, 1.1. All right, so that's good. So X out of that, X out of PCA. All right, next it wants us to go do the IP address for PCB. All right, so I've got that here in my table. PCB, desktop, IP configuration, PCB, IP address is 192.168.0.3. Subnet mask is our matches there. Default gateway 192.168.0.1. Looking good, looking good. It wants us to ping PCB from a command prompt on PCA. We're going to do that. I think you can probably expect that it's not going to work, but they want us to do it anyway. So we're on PCA, we're pinging PCB. You'll see this run through and it will fail a few times. All right, so the question is asking us right here is why were the pings not successful? All right, so the reason these pings are not successful is because of this here PCA over here and PCB over here. There's a router separating these. Plus, there's no links currently. The link between switch 1 and router 1 is not up, and the link between router 1 and PCB is not up. And we haven't done any other configuration, so that's the reason why nothing works, and why this ping doesn't work right now. I imagine the hope is that it will work after we're done. All right, it's bringing us to step 3. It wants us to configure router 1. All right, the CLI is locked, so that means we're going to have to use a console from one of the PCs to do that. So let's set the cabling up. All right, so we're going to use the console cable, which is this blue cable here. We're going to click on PCA, connect that to the RS-232 serial port. Then I'm going to connect to router 1 on the console. Now that that's physically connected, I need to go into PCA, and I'm going to go to the terminal, agree to the default settings, and now we're in the router through the PC. Enable. All right, so we're going to so it wants us to do several things. All right, we're going to enter configuration mode. We're going to assign the device name to it based on the addressing table. The addressing table here has the name of R1. All right, so I'm going to configure terminal, host name, R1. All right, I want you to see that the prompt changed, the host name changed. Let's see, the next step. It wants us to assign some passwords, so we're going to assign class as the privilege exec password and Cisco as the console password. All right, so we're going to say enable secret is class. All right, and then the console and enable login is Cisco. Actually, I think I just did that backwards. Let's see, that was a privilege. No, that's right. All right, so we've got to set the console and enable login to Cisco. I want you to see also as I'm doing these configurations, our packet tracer's keeping up with it. We're at 35% complete now, so that's good. So we want to we're going to do line VTY 0 through 15. We're going to say password is Cisco. Then we're going to line console 0. Password Cisco. I'm going to use the next one of the things here that says encrypt the plain text passwords. So the command to do that on a Cisco device is service password encryption. So that encrypts all the passwords. Create a banner that warns anyone accessing the device that authorized access is prohibited. All right, so we're going to do a banner here. So we're going to say banner message of the day, and we're going to put a message in there. Unauthorized access prohibited. All right, so delimiter there. All right, so we're complying with all marks here. Our completion on our is coming up 42%. Figure the IP address is according to the IP addressing table, so we're going to go and look at the table. All right, for router 1, I've got 2 interfaces it wants me to configure. Notice we actually connected those, so we need to configure the IP addressing on both of those. So I've got that over here. I want to show you guys configuration before we make any changes. So I'm going to do a show running config, and it's going to show everything here. So I want to show you the, all right, that is the configuration for gig 00 and gig 01 right now. There is no IP address set on it, and it is actually shut down. The interface is not physically up. So we're going to change that. We're going to add the IP addressing, so to gigabit Ethernet 000. We're going to start with that one. So I'm going to say configure terminal or config T, and then I'm going to say interface gig 0/0/0. All right, so I'm in that interface. I'm going to add the IP address to that interface. All right, so IP address, and then I'm going to enter that 192.168.0.1 with a subnet mask, 24-bit. All right, so I got that, and then I'm also going to, it doesn't tell us to do this, but I think we should. Let's see. It doesn't tell us to enable the interface, but that's what we're going to do that. So we're going to do a no shutdown on that interface, and it'll come up. All right, so we're going to do the same thing for the other. We're going to do for gig 01. The IP address for this one, though, a little different. It is 0. I did these backwards. Hold on. Sorry. Let's see. Gig 00 was supposed to be 0.1. Oh, okay, I did that already. And then gig 01 is 1.1. That's right. All right, so gig 01, I'm going to make that 1.1. I'm just editing that. I'm using the up arrow key on my keyboard to cycle through commands that I've already typed. Then I'm going to do a no shut here. As you see, that do a no shut there brought up this interface. And now we see we got links all the way through here because the links on the router were shut down. But now that they are no shut, or they are on, we're seeing links starting to happen, right? All right, so let's go on to our next step. All right, so we completed the configure R1. Now we're going to configure S1, which is the switch. So I'm going to go through and do these commands here. So let's go to on this here. I'm going to copy running config to startup config. That's basically backing up my config. I'm going to go ahead and go to the switch here. The CLI, it does not want to open. Same reason. So I'm going to take on PCB, I'm going to take the console cable and connect it. And I'm going to connect the switch here on the console. So now I can console to this one using this terminal. You guys see that? Boom, boom. So I'm using the PC terminal program to connect to this switch because the test out wants us to simulate as much as possible the way this would be if you were doing it in person by taking that just connect feature direct away. All right, so we're there. Very first thing on the switch is to go to privilege mode, which I did by enabling. Wanted to assign the device name. The name is going to be S1, so I'm going to configure terminal. I'm going to go host name. This should feel very familiar, and I'm going to make it S1. All right, you see that? All right, so we got now it wants us to do the passwords again. So class has the privilege exec, so I'm going to, I should have stayed in configuration mode. Big T for short for configure terminal. I'm going to say enable secret, and I'm going to make it class. Then I'm going to go line BTY. I'm going to go through all the lines 0 through 15. I'm going to say password Cisco. Keep in mind these are passwords that we're using for class. If you were configuring this for a production environment for a company or business you're working for, organization you're working for, you would want to come up with your own unique device passwords. Okay. All right. Maybe you would share them between devices, but so you can remember them, but you wouldn't want to use something as simple as this. This is just for educational purposes. All right, so we've got it set there. I also need to go to line console 0 and do a password. Do it the same as the BTY password. This would be the password that you would use to get into the terminal the way we are right now through a console, through a serial connection. All right, so we've got the password set. Now it wants us to encrypt all the passwords. Go back to the global configuration mode. I'm going to say service password encryption. That command alone encrypts all the passwords. Another banner situation. Wants us to make a banner. Banner MOTD, or message of the day. Now we need to configure the IP address for S1 on VLAN 1 for the for the SVI according to the addressing table. So I'm going to look at the addressing table. I'll show you guys as well. Switch 1, VLAN 1, and we got 192.168.1.2 with a subnet mask and a default gateway. So we're going to configure all of that. So I'm going to say interface VLAN 1, IP address 192.168.1.2 subnet mask. But oh, I left that out. A 5. All right, we got the subnet mask set. All right, where does the default gateway come in? Well, that's something that you do outside of the interface. I'm going to do a show run here to see the status of things. I want you to see. All right, here's the IP. There's the VLAN. We just configured the IP on. Notice that this interface is shut down. There's our default gateway I just set right there. That is the gateway. I mean, that is the IP address of one of the interfaces on the router, if you remember from earlier. I'll show you right here. See, there's 1.1 right there. So the default gateway of the switch is actually one of the routers we just configured. So that's kind of neat. All right, I need to no shut this interface here. So I'm going to big T interface VLAN 1, and I'm going to say no shut. All right, so that's not a physical link. That is a VLAN, a virtual LAN. So you're not going to see anything, any links go green or anything. But now we should be able to actually access that switch where we wouldn't have been able to before. All right, so we're up to 82% on our configuration. And so let's see what else we got left to do here. All right, it's got a bunch of show things for us to do, so I'm not exactly sure if that's going to help with that or not. But right now, just out of my own curiosity, I'm going to do a few tests. All right, so we've got PCA and PCB are on, everything's connected now. We've got everything configured. We should be able to get from one to the other. So let's see if we can. And if we can't, let's figure out why not. So, all right, so we know that the IP address for PCB is 0.3, and so I'm going to go to PCA and I'm going to ping PCB and see what happens. Close my terminal, open up my command prompt. I'm going to ping 192.168.1.3. That is PCA is 1.3, right? So I'm actually going to ping myself. I'm just going to ping my own PC, the one that I'm actually on. All right, the default gateway for PCA is 1.1, so I'm going to ping 1.1. 1.1 is going to take us from this PC through this switch, and it's going to ping this router right here, if you see my mouse moving. All right, so now I want to try to ping PC, well, we can actually ping switch 1. All right, it's 1.2, so I want you to see this. This is going to hesitate for a second, but it should actually start responding after it misses maybe 1 or 2 pings. Boom, boom, then you'll see it start responding. So right now we're able to ping from this PC to this switch interface, to the switch management interface, and to the interface on this router. It's on default gateway. So now what we just want to do, let's just follow it all the way through. Let's do 0.1. That would be the other interface on the router. That responds. So now if we can do 0.3, that means we pinged everything. Give it a second, see if it works. And it does. All right, so from PCA, I can ping the switch, I can ping both interfaces on the router, and I can ping PCB. So the test, that's just my unofficial test. The official test that it asks us to do got a few things here. It wants us to do some. I was supposed to save the configuration on the switch. I don't know if I get credit for that or not. From a percentage perspective, let's see. That's PCB. I'm going to copy running config. Start. Let's see that. Yeah, it brought us. We're at 85% now. All right, so now let's do a few other things that it asked us to do. So we've gotten all the configuration done. Now it's got a few other things. All right, so it wants us to show the show version. So on the it says on the router. All right, so I got to go back to where PCA is actually connected to the router on the terminal. I'm going to do show version. All right. What is the name of the iOS image that the router is running? So it actually tells you that here. So the name of the image is, it's listed right here. The image is this right here. That's the image file. All right. It wants us to go to the switch and do the same thing. So we'll flip flop here. That's PCA. We're going to go to PCB. Show version, and under there, question is what iOS software image and version is on the switch? What is the model number of the switch? All right, two different things. All right, so the iOS, the model number of the switch should be listed here. Let's see. Here's the model number right here. It's a WS-2960-24TT. Which lists here as well. We've got the image name and the switch version right here. So other two questions. All right, now we got another router item. So let's go back to PCA. All right, it wants us to what does it say here? Okay. Show IP route. So we're gonna show IP route. It's got some information here. How to what? So what code is used in the routing table to indicate a directly connected route? So you've got a little these codes up here, right? So directly connected route is listed with a C. So you can look here and you can see directly connected. You got 0.0 and 1.0. Both of those are interfaces on the router, so that makes sense that those are directly connected. What interface types are associated with C-coded routes? So it's got the interfaces here, gig 001, gig 000. All right. Now it wants us to show the show interface gig 001 on the router. It's got lots of information here. It's got lots of questions too. So what is the operational status of the gig 001 interface? So we want to look up here and we want to look at the status. So what do we got? We've got gig 001 is up, line protocol is up. So it's connected, right? See that? Other things, what is the MAC address of the interface here? So we want to look for the MAC address of this interface. Let's look for that. I got something here, a hint of a MAC address right here, 0060. See if I find anything more conclusive. Let's see, this doesn't read very well in this color here. Let's just look through it. Yep, so we're looking at our MAC address. Yep, our hardware address right there. All right, and that's our MAC address. And then how is the internet address displayed in this command? So how is the internet address displayed? It's listed in what you call CIDR notation. That's what they're asking for there. Instead of showing the full subnet mask, it's just showing a /24, showing you got 24 bits to make the network and 8 bits only to make the host address. Very good. All right, so we got some more display commands here. This is also from the router. It wants us to do a show IP interface brief. I'm looking at this in the steps. So you show IP interface brief, it'll show you this information. It shows us the interface name, the IP address, whether it's up, and how it's up, and then the status and the protocol. In this case, on the router 1, we are not using the VLAN 1, so it doesn't matter the status. Probably better that it's administratively down. Has us doing this same command on the switch. All right, a lot more interfaces on the switch, which makes sense. All right, now we're going to use, we're going to configure secure shell on the device. So it wants us to go to R1. Let me show you some of this. R1, and we're going to run these commands here. And I'm guessing that's where our other 15% completion is going to come from. So let's go to the router, and we're going to do these things. All right, I'm actually just going to copy this here if it'll let me and save me some time. We'll see how that works out. So PC A is going to the router, so I'm going to go there. In order for it to get SSH to work, we've got to run some commands to set that up. Well, part of that includes creating a domain. So let's see. So we're going to make the domain what they suggest here, academy.net, and then we're going to generate the encryption key. This is the command for that, generate RSA. It's going to come up and ask us for the bits. We're going to give it 1024 bits because that's what it suggests in the instructions. All right, so it generated the RSA key. You see this message here. Then we're going to create a username on the BTY line so that we can, they're going to tell it to log in local. So we're going to first create a user. I'm going to use, yeah, I'll just copy this command and I'll paste it and show you. All right, so the username SSH user with a secret password of Cisco. All right, and then we're also going to tell the BTY line to allow SSH's transport and to allow us to log in local, meaning use this local username and password that we just set up. So I'm going to say line BTY 0 through, it's just having us do it through 4. I always go through 15, but that's fine. It'll work either way. We're going to log in local, and we're going to say transport input SSH. That just allows SSH to work. Now that we've got that set up, I'm going to go to the command prompt on PCA, and I'm going to connect to it using our new username and then our password. So I'll show you that here. So we're going to go to close this, and I'm going to go to my, I'm going to use my command prompt. So here, while we were using ping earlier. All right, so we connect to SSH. We know our password is Cisco. All right, you see how there's our banner message popped up. We got to enable this here, and we know our enable password is class because we set it as that. So now we've connected differently. So now I gotta show you something. So this is connected via SSH. So this connection, this serial connection that we got right here, we no longer need this one right here. We can delete that, right? I want to show you that we are still connected because we are connected through SSH, through the network. We're connecting through this network cable all the way from this PCA all the way to router 1 through the network. We're not connected up to the console anymore. So that's good things. Our percentage is 95%. I'm not sure where I've missed. Let's see what else we're supposed to be doing here. I'm going to check the results and see what it says. It'll give me a items. Oh, okay, I didn't. The console login, I didn't set. I guess I don't remember it telling me to do that, but that would be the way to get 100% is to do the console line there. Console login, the same way it's got the BTY login that I just did. That's the console login on switch 1. Let me just take a look at that while I'm showing you guys something you don't see. All right, so right here is what I'm talking about. This is X right here is the reason why I've only got 95% complete. It's because this isn't done. So let me take a look at switch 1 on the console and see what it's talking about. So I'm going to do a show running config. Go all the way to the bottom. Yeah, I don't have login put on there, so I'm going to do config t align con 0. I'm going to say login. Right, and then if I'm going to go ahead and copy running the startup. This there is because that's habit. Then if I go to the instructions thing here and I run that again, did I not get that one at that time? Let's see. Oh, it's 97%. So there's something else that we didn't do. So let me check the results again. What did I miss that time? Oh, okay. I didn't do the same thing on the router. Okay. I don't know that it told me to do that, but in order to get 100%, we're going to have to. So I'm going to have to go back to PCA. Here I am on the router. I'm going to do a show run. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom and look at the con 0. Yeah, I don't say login put in there, so I'm going to say big T line con 0 login. All right, now I'm going to go back to my this screen. I'm at 100% now, so if I was to check results, I will have completed everything. All right, so that's it. That is that. Build a switch and router network. So hope that helps. Thanks. I'll stop this recording now. Let me get to that screen. All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one.